All right, this compose file we have created is great for development, but it's not ideal for production. For example, in our production environment, we don't need this volume mapping because we added this only for sharing our source code with our container. Similarly, we don't need this other container because we don't want to continuously run our tests in the production environment because this is going to slow down our server. It's going to unnecessarily use resources. So we're going to create a separate compose file for our production environment. So I'm going to copy this file, paste it, and then rename it to docker compose.prod.yaml. This is an arbitrary name. You can call it anything, but this is a convention that a lot of people follow. Now let's modify this file bit by bit. So for our web service, we're going to keep the build property, but I want to use a different port mapping. I don't want to use port 3000 on the host because I want to type the host name in the browser and bang, I want to see the application. So we want to map port 80 of the host to port 3000 of the container. Now, we don't need the volume mapping. Good. Next, we're going to get rid of the web tests service. Now for our API, we're going to keep the build property. I'm going to keep the port mapping as well. Next, we have our environment variable. This is totally fine, but we don't need this volume either. Good. Now, our database service is in a good shape. We don't need to make any changes here, but I want to add an extra property to each of these services, and that is our restart policy. So we set restart. The default value is no. So that means if this container crashes, it's not going to be restarted. Our application will be unavailable. So then we have to connect with our server using SSH and manually restart the container. We don't want to use this. We want to use one of the other possible values. Earlier, we talked about the compose file format. So if you Google compose file format, you can find this page. Now over here, we can see version 3 of compose files. Here we can see all the valid properties and their values. We're going to look at restart. So where is it? It's right here. So here are all the possible values. We have no, always, on failure, and unless stopped. Always will always restart the container. On failure will only restart it if the container crashes. And unless stopped is kind of similar to always. The difference is that it will only restart the container if we manually stop it. So I'm going to change this to unless stopped. Now I want to use the same restart policy for the other services. Good. So now we have a compose file for our production environment. Similarly, we could create a compose file for our test and staging environments.